I recently spoke with an athlete who just completed a half Ironman, and we talked about his nutritional plan during the race. It was catastrophic. Found out that he consumed 2,200 calories on the bike. Didn't even finish the run because his legs were catatonic. They just completely seized up and locked up. And he thought, well, maybe he'd gone a little overboard. Well, taking in roughly 1,000 calories an hour is catastrophic. You have to have a nutritional plan, and he was way, way overboard. First thing you need to think about is what your sweat rate is, how much water you can potentially lose, because dehydration is the #1 cause of muscle fatigue. So how do we figure out sweat rate? Well, you need to weigh yourself nude before you go out to exercise. Keep track of the fluid replacement drink while you're exercising, and then weigh yourself immediately after exercise. Take the difference between your weights. So let's say, for example, I weighed 150 pounds and I weighed 147 at the end. Well, the rule of thumb is that I can lose between about 1.5% with a maximum of 2% on race day. Now, race day is a little bit different. Generally, our glycogen stores are a little bit fuller, more water, and we can lose a little more water. Training weeks, about 1.5%. So do your math. If it's 2% in a race day, and I weigh 150 pounds, 2% times 150 is 3 pounds. I'm essentially at the maximum amount of my weight loss. So what do? Well, you've got to look at the fluid that you've taken in during the exercise session. If I only took in 16 ounces of fluid, and I was down 3 pounds, and ideally I should be closer to that 1.5 or 1%, I need to take in roughly another pound of fluid to get myself up to that point. I need to be up to 148 pounds or 148.5 pounds. So that equals 16 ounces to 24 ounces of additional fluid. Getting back to this example of this athlete that I mentioned who overconsumed on his half Ironman, you cannot just take in fluid replacement drink calories. You're going to have a combination of FRD and water. Now, if I look at my total number of calories allocated for that hour, well, how do we actually figure that out, and how many calories do we take in? You got to do a little bit of math. There's a term called metabolic equivalent, and that metabolic equivalent is about your exercise rate or your work rate. The rule is take the metabolic equivalent times your body weight in pounds times the amount of time you're exercising. That's going to give you total calories burned. Now, the rule of thumb is that while you're exercising, you need to replace somewhere between 25 to 33% of those total calories burned, no more. So when we think of calorie allotment, we don't need a huge amount of calories. Somewhere between about 60 to 80% of your total calories can be fluid replacement drink. You can also replenish that with gels. And ideally, when you're looking at the drink, you want a synergistic drink that has carbohydrate and protein at a 4:1 ratio. Once we put that fluid replacement drink in, it has to come in on a drip system basis. We can't just guzzle it down. We can't take an inordinate amount of carbohydrate, protein, or fat at any one time. You want to stick with ideally a 4:1 ratio and make sure that you're introducing the fluid replacement drinks on a more systematic and routine interval basis. Don't wait every 15 minutes. Go every 4 to 10 minutes or 4 to 12 minutes where you're taking small sips, but have a nutritional plan when you go into a race. Every race is different. It depends on your fitness, it depends on what you fueled beforehand, but have a nutritional plan during the race and you'll do well. There's no fluid replacement drink out there, there's no food out there that allows you to go faster. It just allows you to sustain the highest work output for the longest period of time.